Of all the devastating consequences of Zimbabwe's land reform project, there is one environmental disaster that virtually no one seems to speak about, namely, that this country's forests are now disappearing at one of the fastest rates in the entire world. Backed by Chinese funding and training, thousands of smallholder land reform beneficiaries have turned away from coal-based tobacco curing to firewood-based curing, triggering a wave of deforestation so severe that Zimbabwe is now losing nearly 2% of its forests every single year. This rate is much faster than the much talked about Amazonian crisis, where the Amazon shrinks by less than 1% per year. Zimbabwe's well-known agricultural collapse following the ZANU-PF aggressive land reform operation at the start of the century has been well documented. The fast-tracked land reform program implemented by Robert Mugabe involved the compulsory seizure of white-owned commercial farms and their redistribution to politically connected businessmen, military veterans, and ruling party elites. The economic result of this was that the country's agricultural output completely and utterly collapsed. Commercial output in key export crops all followed the same path of collapse. Tobacco production fell from 237,000 tons in 2000 to less than 40,000 in 2008. Maize production dropped below half of pre-2000 levels. The overall agricultural GDP contracted by more than an astonishing 65% between 2000 and 2008. By then, Zimbabwe, formerly a regional food exporter, had become a net importer of maize. They are reliant on food aid and saw its broader economy enter hyperinflation, with inflation hitting 9 million% during that year. That's 9 million%. And unemployment skyrocketed to 80%. The country was completely and utterly destroyed by Mugabe. People's lives were destroyed, their pension funds erased, and ordinary Zimbabweans were starving in the streets, even selling rats on the street to survive, to eat these rats. Yet, in spite of this absolute disaster, land reform apologists often point to one single sector in Zimbabwe's agriculture, which showed some signs of reviving around 2010. With the development of the tobacco exports recovering to about half of pre-land reform levels during that year. The 2018 national tobacco crop of 258 million kilograms, almost matching the all-time peak of 260 million kilograms in 1998, just before the land reform seizures, and in 2023, the all-time record of just over 290 million kilograms was set. Although Zimbabwe's tobacco output has since then yet again declined to pre-land reform levels, the 2023 harvest in particular is one appealed to by land reform apologists to try and show that African countries are in no need of their white farmers. But in today's video, we are going to expose an uncomfortable truth that no one seems to speak about: the absolute environmental disaster caused by smallholder tobacco production in the post-land reform era, with Zimbabwe now losing almost 2% of all of its forests every year. Zimbabwe, formerly Rhodesia, was first transformed into a global tobacco powerhouse during the colonial era. European settlers introduced Virginia flue-cured tobacco in the early 1900s. A crop that proved ideal for warm, dry Mashonaland plateau weather. By the 1920s and 30s, white commercial farmers, supported by stable land tenure and access to British markets, expanded tobacco into one of the country's major commodities. During the 40s, the creation of the Rhodesia Tobacco Association and later the Tobacco Research Board provided Rhodesian farmers with world-class agronomic research, hybrid seed development, pest management, solutions, and cutting-edge curing techniques. Large-scale commercial farms invested heavily in modern curing barns, irrigation and auction floor systems, which dramatically increased both quality and the yield of the tobacco. And by the 60s, Rhodesia was recognized as producing some of the highest quality flue-cured tobacco in the entire world. From the late 70s through to the end of the 20th century, Rhodesia and later Zimbabwe regularly ranked amongst the top 3 tobacco producers globally, exporting to over 50 different countries. Tobacco became the country's single largest foreign exchange earner. All of this collapsed following the devastating government-sanctioned land reform project of the early 2000s. But as I mentioned earlier in the video, since around 2010, there has been somewhat of a recovery, something that land reform apologists loves to point to. Part of this recovery can be attributed to contract farming involving Chinese firms like Tianzai, which has provided smallholders with inputs, credit and guaranteed markets.
There are lots of business opportunities for Chinese investors, and we have to work with our local partners to enhance mutual benefits and promote friendship between China and Zimbabwe.
In fact, today it is estimated that around 95% of Zimbabwe's tobacco crop is financed through contract farming schemes which involve Chinese state-owned companies such as Tianzai. The great irony of Zimbabwe's land reform is that while all the white farmers were supposedly driven off the land to return it to the black Africans, most smallholders are now in effect little more than employees of Chinese government-owned companies and British American Tobacco on that same land, with most of their profits going to repaying debts to those very same companies. But apart from the fact that Zimbabwe's tobacco industry was transformed from being driven by white commercial farmers to Chinese employed black smallholders, there has been another major shift in terms of the way that tobacco is produced in this country now that it is controlled by China. You see, the white commercial farmers had traditionally made use of coal to cure tobacco. Back in 1998, a report prepared for the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change actually praised Zimbabwean farmers for the technological advances made in the curing of the tobacco, with improved designs at the time able to cut the amount of emissions and the amount of coal needed in the process in half. Moreover, one of the reasons for the use of coal to burn tobacco is the fact that the Wangwe cornfields is one of the largest coal deposits in Africa, with estimated reserves amounting to well over 1 billion tons of mineable high-quality coal. Coal was also easily transported via state-owned railways directly to most of the tobacco-producing regions, and large commercial tobacco estates bought coal in bulk to use in their flue-curing barns that were designed for coal combustion. Coal was also reliable, uniform, and available year-round. When land reform beneficiaries took over the tobacco farms, they completely changed the curing process. One of the reasons for this was that they were unwilling to invest in bulk purchases of coal, and of course because the transport infrastructure in Zimbabwe started to collapse along with the rest of the economy. And so, even with all the immense coal reserves at their disposal, they turned to deforesting the local forests. By 2023, it was reported that Zimbabwe is now losing over 260,000 hectares of forest every single year, and that this can be greatly attributed to all the firewood being consumed in the process of curing tobacco for the Chinese market. Now, keep in mind that to cure a single kilogram of tobacco, 10 kilograms of firewood is consumed, whereas with coal, the ratio was around 1 to 1.5 kilograms of coal per kilogram of tobacco. The consequences of this process of deforestation by the new beneficiaries of land reform, who are being fueled, funded and supported by the Chinese government, are absolutely devastating because forests regulate the water cycle by releasing moisture into the atmosphere. This means that when forests are removed, local rainfall tends to decline rapidly and dry spells become longer, with droughts intensifying. The forests can be seen as a sort of a buffer within the area. Where seasons become naturally more dry, the forests release enough moisture into the air to make sure it still rains. This is a major issue in Zimbabwe's Moibo woodland regions, which rely heavily on forest moisture to maintain their rainfall stability every year. And Zimbabwe's farmers are already feeling the devastating consequences of this, with agricultural output collapsing last year, largely as a result of an unprecedented drought hitting the country, mostly attributed to the fact that such a large part of these forests has been eradicated. Apart from this, deforestation also impacts the ecosystem in a number of other ways, including soil erosion, a loss of biodiversity, and desertification, among others. And the hard reality is that if this trend continues and nothing changes, Zimbabwe might see itself completely run out of forests within just a couple of generations, turning this country into a desert biome. In a recent video, we did a holistic analysis of the collapse of Rhodesia into Zimbabwe and how this constitutes a warning to the West in general. To check out this full report, simply click on this link appearing on your screen right here. And remember to become a member of the Willem Petzer Group. Only with your help are we able to make these videos to change the hearts and minds of people. Goodbye and God bless.